I am so upset right now. I just need to calm down because I have been on the World Wide Web, the information superhighway, reading a bunch of inaccurate stereotypes about the 16 Myers-Briggs personalities that need to be stopped. There are so many myths about the 16 personalities that just aren't true. So we need to cut through the misinformation and destroy these 7 common misconceptions, these falsehoods about the 16 Myers-Briggs personalities.
I haven't seen you this mad since they made us update to Windows 95.
Chip, you don't need to remind me of that, okay? It's still very painful. And before we get into that, you need to watch until the end of the video because I've got a special announcement and I will be very disappointed if you do not hear my special announcement.
Is the announcement you're getting off of YouTube?
That was unnecessarily hurtful, Chip. Misconception number 1. I gotta bring the energy down. I don't know if I can go much higher than that. That sensing types are dumb. They're not insightful. They're basically slow and should be getting on the short bus to go to school. That's not true. The sensors are just as smart as intuitives, if not smarter. I think this misconception comes up because the sensing types can be a bit slower, a bit more methodical when it comes to learning new things. And this is because they want to make sure they get all the details. Intuitive types, they can learn stuff fast because they don't care about details. They're just like, I get the gist, let me just guess about what's going on here. And that doesn't make intuitive types smarter, that just makes them more likely to make mistakes. Let's consider that misconception destroyed. Number 2, and now that I'm saying it, maybe I should have started off with this one.
You said number 2.
A common thing that's said everywhere, all over the worldwide information superhighway. People are out there saying intuitive types are the best. In the last video I did, which you can see in the card above my head, whoa! We talked about how only 25% of the population prefer intuition. And I think that this is a circumstance with this misconception that intuitives are the best, where people test intuitive and then they're like, oh, I'm relatively rare, I must be better. But here's the thing, no preference is better than any other. As I mentioned before, there are pros and cons to preferring both intuition and sensing. And if we're using personality types as a way of understanding ourselves and improving ourselves, it's important not to start off with this misconception that I am somehow better than other people because of my type. Number 3 misconception is that thinking types don't have emotions. They're just robots going around, beep boop bop, I'm just a thinker, I'm just rational. Emotions? I don't know what those are. Now Chip here, he doesn't have emotions because he is literally a computer.
Yeah, emotions are dumb.
But us human beings who are thinking types do in fact have emotions. Having emotions is human. Thinking types may even express their emotions from time to time. But the reason that they are thinking types is because they have found that their emotions and their feelings and their value judgments of things are not as reliable as their logical decisions. People who prefer thinking trust their thinking side more. Even though they do have the emotions, they feel them all, but when it's game time and the chips are on the table, they're not gonna trust their feelings, they're gonna trust their thinking, their logic.
When the chips are on the table, my name's Chip. I'm on the table.
Chip, that is not even funny. Like, why did you and yet I'm laughing. So that misconception is debunked. Number 4 on the list. Feeling types are just so averse to conflict that they will just agree to everything. They're pushovers. They're doormats. And while yes, feelers do care about harmony, and feelers do not like conflict, people who prefer feeling can still be very disagreeable. They can get into and even start conflicts. It really depends upon what is the conflict about. If a feeler feels like their values or the values of the group are being violated, they will jump in there and start a fight over it. Because feelers value harmony, and I think they realize a lot of times in order to achieve that harmony, we might need to have a little conflict, a little fighting in the short term. In our next segment, we will go over 3 more misconceptions, and these are some of the worst. So, stay tuned. Okay, now we've got our final 3 misconceptions, and like I said, these are some of the worst. These are some misconceptions that make my blood boil. They keep me up at night. They even cause me some consternation and vexation.
Oh, wow. Someone's been using the thesaurus in Microsoft Word. Nerd.
I did, Chip, because I like to be loquacious and sesquipedalian.
Those words are so complicated, I think my processor is overheating. It burns. Cool.
Misunderstanding / misconception / terrible stereotype / terrible stereotype is that perceiving types, or P types, are lazy slackers. They're messy, unorderly, they don't want to work, they don't want to clean up their room, they live in filth, they haven't done their laundry in the last 3 weeks. And there is a sliver of truth to some of this, because some of the P types, especially like ENFPs, ENTPs, they really struggle with the sensory world and like getting things organized. However, this whole thing about them being lazy and being like totally disorderly is just not true. Perceiving types like to do their own thing, so it may seem that they are slackers when they are in school, for example, and they're being told to do a bunch of stuff that they don't really want to do. But when perceiving types find what they want to do, when they pursue what they are passionate about, they work really hard. They are not lazy or slackers in any way. They're really only underachieving if they're measured by someone else's standards that don't even really apply to them. So, get that misconception out of here.
Yeah, some people think I'm a slacker. It's just because they're judging me with the wrong criteria.
No, Chip, you actually are a slacker. Why do we even have you here? What value do you bring to the team? That's a rhetorical question. What do you think you are? Ask Jeeves? What do you think, you're Yahooligans? You think you're Alta Vista? Frank, no one's gonna get these 90s references. I know! Next up is that the J types, the judging types, are judgmental. This is something I think when people are starting to first learn about MBTI, they're like, oh, that person's gotta be a J type because they're really judgmental. Or they're like, well, I can't be a J type because I'm not judgy. But that's not what it means. I think being judgmental is just generally kind of a human trait. The thing about the J types is they might be more likely to express their judgment, but they usually do that with a purpose of like trying to bring people together or get them to work together or whatever. Ultimately, J types, not judgmental. At least that's not what it means. Lastly, and this is one of the biggest misconceptions and pieces of misinformation going out there when it comes to the 16 personalities, that the introvert types are super shut-ins. They never go out, they hate talking to people, they're so shy, they basically got social anxiety. Whereas the extrovert types are social butterflies, going out there talking to everybody. They're having wild parties all the time. And part of the problem is that Myers-Briggs gives you one option or the other. You're either introvert or extrovert. There's no like middle option. There's no sliding scale like there is with other personality systems like the Big Five, for example, which can be much more accurate when it comes to introvert, extrovert, because it will say, oh, you are in the 40th percentile, so you are more introverted than average, but you're not an extreme. And most people are in the middle. Most people are ambiverts. They're not extreme extroverts, they're not extreme introverts. And you can have people who are E-types who can be kind of quiet, and people who are I-types who are outgoing. This is where things get a bit more complicated, so we'll save that for another video, but that I or E at the beginning of your type is actually giving you a bit more insight into the nitty-gritty of what your type is all about. It doesn't just mean, are you quiet or are you outgoing? There's a bit more to it, and you can start by looking at this video of mine. What are the 4 temperaments of the 16 personalities? Oh, that card, man. Almost got me. Lastly, the special announcement, I'm going to be making a fun video soon where I am going to be typing viewers like you. All you need to do is make a short and upload it to YouTube. It's very easy to do. You can do it right from your mobile device. In 60 seconds or less, tell me as much as you can about yourself. Upload it to YouTube with the hashtag #TypeWithFJ. And in a future video, I'll be giving my hot takes on what different viewers' personality types might be. Upload your short now for a chance to be featured.
FJ, can you type me?
Chip, you have no type. You're your own, doing your own thing over there.
Cool.
Next, watch this video about how rare is your personality type, going into all the statistical data of how frequently each type occurs. You can also check out the whole playlist right here and find another video you'd like to watch. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay cool and attractive.